Switch Radio Sport. This is Switch.
Worcester City win that game and they will be in Division One Midlands next season.
Chance in Paul Job's got chance in the penalty, gets shot in and goes to the back of the net, and Cheyenne Jarvis gets the second goal for Leaford Athletic this afternoon, found space in the 6-yard box.
Back to the edge of the penalty area with the pass, crossing towards the back post, headed goalwards and in!
That's a great shot from De Castro! Oh, what a save for Gray! And the Red Cube 2-0!
Stourbridge have won the Division One Midlands title.
The Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio.
Good evening, welcome along to the Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio. Chris Gadsby with you here for the next hour, bringing you all of the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. This is the home of the FAWNL on Switch Radio, and we have got a jam-packed show for you tonight. We've got a roundup of everything that happened in the first round of the Women's FA Cup, plus we've had a almost full programme of midweek league fixtures to take you through as well, and because of that we have got 5 interviews for you this evening. We're going to hope that we can squeeze them all in before Andrew Richards in his Alternative 80s show at 6 o'clock. You'll hear from Matt Jones, the Worcester City women head coach, after their win over Kidderminster Harriers put them into the top half of the Division One Midlands table.
I was really pleased with how we applied individual tactics in certain moments around the pitch, especially as the clock ticked down and it was only 1-0. But they say that a 1-0 feels better sometimes than a 3 or 4-0, and it certainly does tonight.
And on the other side of that result, hear from Harry O'Neill, the Kidderminster Harriers head coach.
We played really well in elements of games for, I'm going to say, at least 80 to 90% of that game. You know, you have so much possession of the ball, and a mistake costs us. And look, that's this level, and that's the naivety sometimes that our group needs to kind of learn and learn quickly.
Sutton Coldfield Town had a narrow defeat this week, but they remain 3 points clear of the relegation zone in the Division 1 Midlands table. We also hear from Harry Roe this evening.
We didn't deserve to lose the game, I feel like, that they might disagree, but I feel like a draw was a fair result. We matched them. For 90 minutes we matched them.
And as Leaford Athletic continue their push in the top 4 of the Division 1 Midlands table, you'll hear from Evangeline Gallop and their head coach, Tash Tezgel.
Grew into the game. I spoke to the girls at half time and potentially was slightly harsh, but I think what they needed was some structure, and we gave them that after, and I think they really took it on board, and I think second half we really dominated the game.
5 interviews, around 80 games to go through, all of the league tables and the latest news from the FAWNL. We're going to try and cram it all in before 6 o'clock this evening here on the Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio. Yes, a very good evening to you as we go into November, and it is a very cold weekend as well, but we've got plenty to look forward to in the FAWNL coming up tomorrow, and of course we've got all of the FA Cup and all of the midweek action to go through as well. So we're going to have to really race through everything today, but we're going to start at Oxford United with the news. Oxford United this week have confirmed that Sam Rose has left his role as women's first team manager by mutual consent. He joined the club in November 2023 and played an important role in the continued progression of Oxford United women, overseeing a period of significant development both on and off the pitch, including the transition to a professional hybrid model. Oxford United would like to place on record its sincere thanks to Sam for his professionalism, dedication and contribution throughout his tenure. The current backroom team will now take charge of the women's first team on a temporary basis, including for tonight's fixture away to AFC Bournemouth. This one obviously coming out in the week. We'll get on to that result and all of the others in just a few moments' time. So Oxford United women are needing a new manager or head coach, whichever whoever comes in wants to be called. Oxford United currently 5th in the Southern Premier Division. They are 9 points now away from, well, the top of the table and that playoff spot rather. So you feel that they've probably already lost about all of the points that they can afford to lose. So they have to be pretty perfect in their remaining 14 games of the season if they want to claim one of those top 2 spots in what is seeming to be quite a competitive Southern Premier Division this season. Let's get into all of that though, but we're going to start with the results from the Women's FA Cup. We're going to start then with the Women's FA Cup. 56 ties in the first round of the Women's FA Cup. And well, we're not going to go through every single one in detail because some of them didn't involve FAWNL sides, which means they don't have all of that information to hand on full-time, easy to get at. And of course, this is an FAWNL show. But Durham Sestra comfortably getting past Dronfield Town by 6-1. 2 for Grace Collinson, 2 for Faye Dale, 1 for Anna Salisbury, and 1 for Emily May Hutchinson. Leeds United, a 5-1 win over FC St Helens. Chloe Lee Dixon with 1, Catherine Smith with 1, 2 for Brittany Sanderson and 1 for Sian Gibril Keating. Huddersfield Town, an all Tier 4 clash here. Huddersfield Town beating Wythenshawe by 4-2. 2 for Louise Biggins and 2 for Hannah Burgess. Altrincham getting past Penrith by 3-2. Great to have a 6th tier side in the second round. Middlesbrough 4, Cheadle Town Stingers 0. This, of course, the game that made a little bit of history by being televised on TNT Sports. Over to watch that on Saturday lunchtime. And Middlesbrough are the victors of that one. Olivia Watt, Rebecca Ferguson, Erin Nelson and Lauren Robson with the goals for Middlesbrough. Pontyland United just got past Bolton Wanderers, 2 teams in Tier 5. It was on penalties by 4-2. Burnley convincing winners against Blackburn Rovers. They won by 12-0. Plenty getting in on the score sheet here. Brooke Cairns with 1, Charlie Chadwick with 1, Amy Kelly, Millie Ravening, Maddie Robinson, Olivia Wilkes, Emma Siddle. They all got 1. 7 players with 1. Heidi Logan with 2 and Claudia Walker with a second half hat-trick as well. So 12-0 Burnley beat Blackburn Rovers. You'll remember it was a similar scoreline when the two met in the group stage of the Cup earlier on this season. Stockport County beating Tranmere Rovers by 3-0. Stockport County, of course, of Tier 4, beating the Tier 5 side. Paige Cole, Courtney Cosmore and Levi Rathburn with the goals there. Wolves MBC beating Manchester Lacers by 3-1. Halifax losing to Hull City by 4-1. This was an all Northern Premier Division tie, of course. Megan Shaw with the early goal for Halifax to put them in front on the 5th minute, but then Hull City left it relatively late. Sophie Hayward 66, Catherine Hamill 70. Hope Knight 63 first, then Sophie Hayward, then Catherine Hamill in the 70th, and Maya Ackrell in the 80th. York City, a 1-0 win over Leeds Modernians. It was a narrow victory there for York City, but they have got themselves through. Katie Astle in the 49th minute, the only goal against the Tier 6 side. AFC Fylde convincing winners over South Shields by 5-0. Mancunian Unity 3, I2I International Soccer Academy 2. So the 5th tier side goes through there. Penalties were needed between Sporting Cowser and Loughborough Lightning. Zinnia Delgin had given Loughborough the lead in the 16th minute before Sky Owen equalised in the 33rd, and then Sporting Cowser win on penalties. Hednesford Town 2, SJR Workshop 1, so another 5th tier side safely through. Boldmere St Michael's needed a relatively close victory over Crewe Alexandra to get through, but 2 for Annie Ackroyd was enough to put Boldmere into the second round. Wroxham beat Lye Town 3-0. Derby County, comfortable winners over 5th tier Coventry Sphinx by 6 goals to 0. Lincoln United 1, Stourbridge 3. Those two sides towards the bottom of Division One Midlands. It was Stourbridge that got the better of Lincoln United. Isabella Martin in the 67th minute, Caitlin Dealey in the 78th and the 88th minute. Northampton Town 3, AFC Sudbury 2. AFC Sudbury, who have been struggling a little bit in Division 1 South East. They are down towards the bottom, but did have a good showing in the group stages of the Cup and the Plate, and they've only narrowly lost to Northampton Town. Northampton Town, of course, not doing too well in Division 1 Midlands, but a good showing again from AFC Sudbury. Cody Webb, Angel Dade and Alice Timms with the goals for Northampton Town. Megan Edwards and Eva Frizzoni with the goals for AFC Sudbury. Luton Town 3-0 winners over Mansfield Town, 5th tier Mansfield Town. Layla Maddox, Taylor O'Leary and Natalia Mikowski with the goals for Luton Town. On to page 3 of 5 of the Women's FA Cup first round. Instead, 56 ties to go through. Leafield Athletic beating Crusaders by 8 goals to 0. Comfortable victory for Leafield. A hat-trick for Evangeline Gallop, who we'll hear from a little bit later on here on the Women's Football Chat after their midweek game. 2 for Gwen Horgan, 1 for Danielle Krejcova, 1 for Gemma Fraser, 1 for Abby Cowie in there as well. Royston Town beating Camden Court 1-0. Norwich City, a 7-goal thriller to get past Stevenage, but they do so just, winning by 4 goals to 3. Cambridge United only just got past the University of Nottingham by 2 goals to 1. 2 for Abby Jackson for Cambridge, getting them through. But Stoke City had no such problems against Sutton Coldfield Town. A 7-0 victory for them, including 4 for Layla Kennelly, 1 for Lucia Molinari, Shannon Stamps and Amelia Wilson also popping up on the score sheet. Worcester City beating Port Vale by 2 goals to 1. Port Vale of tier 5. Worcester City through Nia Edwards in the 36th minute, and then a late one for Jasmine Springer, 88th minute, with what proved to be the game-winning goal to send Worcester through. Peterborough United beating Real Bedford by 4 goals to 1. 3 for Jessica Raziu and 1 for Neve Connor, and Michaela with the only goal for Real Bedford. So Tier 4 Peterborough United knocking out Tier 3 Real Bedford and going very well in Tier 3 Real Bedford as well. Great result for Peterborough, whose performance in the Cup and Plate group stage doesn't really show their true form, you feel, because they have been doing so much better in the league and in the FA Cup as well. Big clash towards the top of Tier 3 as Wolverhampton Wanderers took on Rugby Borough. Wolves getting through by 2 goals to 1. Amy Sims in the 40th minute, Georgia Marshall in the 53rd put Wolves 2-0 in front. Jessica Camwell getting one back 5 minutes before the end for Rugby Borough. They were unable to get the equaliser to force penalties. Kidderminster Harriers, they are through as they beat Redditch Borough by a goal to 0. A very close game that for Kidderminster Harriers, but they do get through. Sutton United beating Brentford on penalties after a 1-1 draw. Both those teams in Tier 5. Chatham Town needed penalties to get past AFC Wimbledon, but 4th tier Chatham Town do get the better of the 3rd tier side after a 3-3 draw. Thrilling game there. 2 for Daisy McLaughlin and 1 for Ashley Hinks for AFC Wimbledon, whereas Ellie Jeffkins got 2 in the first half for Chatham Town before Amy Russ in the 88th minute got that equalising goal that meant they went to penalties and Chatham Town get the win. Lewis 4, Corsham Town 0, a difference of 3 tiers between these sides. So Lewis getting the 4-0 win. Gwali United getting the win over Winchester City Flyers by 4 goals to 0 as well. No such problems for the Tier 3 side getting through. Tia Asker, Manon Pearce, Ellie Mae Sanford and Eliza Colley for Gwalior United. Bristol Rovers also getting through against lower tier opposition. Haringey Borough, the ones who exit the FA Cup after being beaten by Bristol Rovers. Goals for Bristol coming to Chloe Bassett, Megan Jarvis and Maisie Collis. Actonians against Watford, 5-0 victory for Watford in this one. Freda Aisi in the 61st minute, Isabel Fisher getting one, Lashanti Paul getting one, Coral Jade Hines getting one as well. London Bees beating Barking by 5-3. Big victory there for London Bees as the goals were flying in. Millie Isherwood with 2, Amy Dern, Fowl and Samantha Gabion all with 1 as well. Oxford City against Sherborne Town, 4-2 winners for Oxford City in that all Tier 5 clash. Cheltenham Town beating Millwall Lionesses by 2-0. Libby Bell and Emily Owen with the goals for Chatham. Worthing, they beat Abingdon United by 4-1. That clash of Division 1 South West. Holly Selwood with the only goal for Abingdon United. Keynsham Town, they get through after beating Bournemouth Sports by 1-0. Another all Division 1 South West tie. Brooke Stirrup in the 58th minute with the only goal between those two. And AFC Portchester beating Gloucester City by 6-2. That's another all Tier 5 tie. Wycombe Wanderers against Bridgewater United. This one went deep. Bridgewater only just getting through. 7-6 on penalties in the end. A great showing from Wycombe of Tier 5. Abby Carslake, the only goal scorer for Bridgewater United in the game, and then they win 7-6 on penalties. Fulham, they got past 7th tier South London by 5-0. Relatively comfortable for Fulham. They scored 2 inside the first 6 minutes, which really put the game in their control. Madison Parsonen, 2 for Kaylee Stead, Sasha Adamson and Ellie Olds with the goals for Fulham. Swindon Town getting past Dulwich Hamlet by 1-0 in this one. Swindon Town of Tier 4, obviously Dulwich Hamlet of Tier 4 as well. Swindon flying high at the top of the Division 1 South West. Taylor McDonald in the 23rd minute, the goal for Swindon. Saltdean United, they beat Bromley by 1-0, so 5th tier Saltdean United are through. Portishead Town beating Billericay Town by 1-0 as well. Billericay Town, of course, struggling towards the bottom of at the bottom of the Southern Premier Division. Portishead Town at the bottom of Division 1 South West, but it's Portishead Town who get the win. Oxford United needed penalties to get past #United. #United 1, Oxford 1 at the end of normal time. Reva Castley had put Oxford in front in just the 3rd minute in that game before # equalised, and then Oxford go through on penalties. 6th tier Farnham Town got beaten by 7th tier Leyton Orient by 8-0. Leyton Orient aside, who are made up quite a lot of #United players from last season, including the head coach as well. They're on something like plus 45 goals from the first 4 games in their league, so expect them to start flying up the pyramid. Plymouth Argyle beat Maidstone United of Tier 7 by 7-0. Comfortable win for Plymouth Argyle of Tier 3. Obviously 4 tiers between those two sides. Eleanor Noble with 2, Ella Stevens with 2, Charlotte Whitmore with 2, and Panagiotta Papineau with 1 as well. Exeter City of Tier 3 beat 5th tier Torquay United. Of course, Torquay were in the FAWNL not long ago, but Exeter City get the 6-0 victory for them. Jessica Sandland, Ellie Sara, Emily Toogood, Georgia Vaccaro, and 2 for Sarah Stacey with the goals for Exeter City. Bowers and Pitsea beat Wimborne Town by 3-2. Dartford beat Forest Green Rovers by 5-1. And then AFC Bournemouth of Tier 3 beat 7th tier Millbrook 11-0. Goals in this one: 2 for Jessica Hennessy, 2 for Amelia Newton, 2 for Kenny Thompson, 2 for Georgia Wilson, 1 for Gemma McGuinness, Jenna Markham, and Sophie Quirk for AFC Bournemouth. What that means, because we've had the draw, it was not without its troubles, the draw for the second round of the Women's FA Cup. It was on numerous YouTube channels and they all didn't really work apart from TNT Sports's. They all had horrendous sound issues and real troubles with it. But we do have the draw. It was split north and south. So this is 56 teams taking us down to, 50 56 teams, taking us down to 28 teams for the third round, which is when the 12 championship sides come in to make 40 teams. That then gets cut down to 20 teams, and then the 12 Super League sides come in to make it 32 teams, and then we go 16, 8, 4, 2, and we crown our FA Cup winner. As usual, the FA Cup will be covered on this show as long as there is an FAWNL team or below still in it. So, second round draw: Bridgewater United against Royston Town, AFC Portchester against Worthing, Cheltenham Town take on Lewis, Leyton Orient against AFC Bournemouth, London Bees against Portishead Town, Bowers and Pitsea against Sutton United, Dartford against Keynsham Town, Exeter City against Chatham Town, Oxford United against Luton, Bristol Rovers take on Fulham, Oxford City against Swindon Town, nice local one that one, Watford against Saltdean United, Plymouth Argyle against Gwalior United, Burnley against Norwich City, Middlesbrough against Northampton Town, Liverpool Feds take on Boldmere St Michael's, Derby County against Stockport County, York City against Wroxham, West Bromwich Albion against Cambridge United, Sporting Cowser against Hednesford Town, Mancunian Unity take on Durham Sestra, Ponteland United against Altrincham, Peterborough United versus Wallsend BC, AFC Fylde against Kidderminster Harriers, Leafield Athletic take on Worcester City, Stourbridge against Hull City, Huddersfield Town against Leeds United, and we had to wait right till the very end for another top of the table tier 3 clash, or relatively, Wolverhampton Wanderers against Stoke City. So what is nice is that we are guaranteed to have 2 teams from tier 5 or below into the third round and the prospect of coming up against a championship side. So that is the draw for the second round of the Women's FA Cup. Those ties being played in a couple of weeks. It's the 23rd of November, so 3 weeks until the second round draw. We then have the third round in the middle of December before the Christmas break. So still plenty of cup action to come between now and the festive period. This is the Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio. Don't forget, we've got plenty more still to come. We're going to look at all of the league results now and hear from plenty of people after the midweek action in the FAWNL right after this. This is the Women's Football Chat on Switch Radio. Chris Gadsby with you here through until 6 o'clock this evening when Andrew Richards takes over with his Alternative 80s show. We've gone through all of the FA Cup. We're now going to have a look at the Northern Premier Division. We're going to look at all of the midweek action from the FAWNL, all the leagues pretty much. There was a couple of games that didn't happen. There's now 2 happening next week. One was always going to happen next week. And one got postponed and has been pushed back to next week. But we're going to start in the Northern Premier Division. Burnley beating Liverpool Feds by 3-2. This was a late winner for Burnley in a game that got delayed due to some standing water in and around as well. So that delayed that game even further. But Burnley got the points they needed, and that was the key thing for them as they continue this promotion charge and attempt to get into the championship. Of course, there's that extra spot in the championship this season. Derby County 1, Stoke City 2. Derby took the lead early on through Georgia Stevens in the 10th minute, but Evie Priestley and Abby Clark turned that around for Stoke City. Middlesbrough 2, Halifax 1. 2 for Lauren Robson for Middlesbrough was enough to get them past Halifax, with Ellie Dobson being their only goal scorer. Rugby Borough 3, West Bromwich Albion 1. Goals in this one, Eve Clarkson and Yasmin Mosby. Rugby really turning this around in the stoppage time at the end of the first half. They were 1-0 up already through Nikki Potts in the 38th minute, but then 45 plus 2 and 45 plus 8 long stoppages in the first half meant that Rugby, after looking like they were going to go in at the break 1-0 with all to play for, suddenly went in at 3-0. Ellie May with the only goal for West Bromwich Albion. Wolverhampton Wanderers, they stay hot on Burnley's heels. Amber Hughes, Abby Jenner, Beth Merrick, Chloe Williams with the goals for Wolves as they get past Sporting Cowser, whose only goal came from Daisy Wickett. And Loughborough Lightning losing to Hull City by 2-0. That one on Thursday evening. What it means for the table from last week is that Burnley, Wolves and Rugby remain at the top. 20 points, 19 points and 14 points for the top three. So it still looks like it's going to be a battle between those top two. Of course, Wolves have a game in hand, that game being against West Bromwich Albion. And Rugby Borough also have a game in hand. They're 6 points behind Burnley, so could end up being a mini league between those sides. Middlesbrough, Hull City and Stoke City are 4th, 5th and 6th on 13, 11 and 10. They are all up 2 places after the midweek round of fixtures. West Bromwich Albion and Liverpool Feds are down 3 places after their defeats. And obviously with Middlesbrough winning, with Hull City winning and with Stoke winning, there's been quite a shift in the midfield. Derby County, Halifax, Loughborough Lightning, Sporting Cows are all still where they are at the bottom, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. Quite interesting throughout the course of the week, because we had the situation where after the games on Wednesday, Halifax had dropped into the bottom 2 on goal difference because Loughborough hadn't played. So Loughborough were on -9, Halifax were on -9, but Loughborough had scored more. Then Loughborough played on Thursday, lost, their goal difference dropped back down again, and they ended up again back into the relegation zones. That's the situation in the Northern Premier Division. In the Southern Premier Division, AFC Bournemouth 2, Oxford United 1. Charlotte Harris and Sophie Quirk with the goals for AFC Bournemouth. The Devon Derby ends in a draw, 1-1 between Exeter City and Plymouth Argyle. 72nd minute for Sophie Gillies, 79th minute for Tiana Taser for Plymouth Argyle. Hashtag United, a big 7-0 win over Billericay Town. We'll have a look at the table in a minute, see what that means for towards the bottom of the Southern Premier Division. Wimbledon beating Lewes by 3-0. Watford drawing with Real Bedford 1-1. Chloe Logie with the only goal for Real Bedford. And then Gwali United beating Cheltenham Town, drawing with Cheltenham Town 1-1. Emily Owen in the 65th minute, the only goal for Cheltenham Town. What that means for the Southern Premier Division table based on what it was last week as well. AFC Bournemouth go back to the top over Watford, only by a goal though. Watford's draw with third place Real Bedford means that after everybody's played 8, it's AFC Bournemouth who are top. Watford are second, only 1 goal behind them. Real Bedford third, 4 points behind them. Bedford could have really done with those 3 against Watford rather than sharing it. Plymouth Argyle and Oxford United remain 4th and 5th on 15 and 11. And then Gwali United and Cheltenham Town are both up a place. Their point when they shared it, because of the defeat for Lewes, was enough to lift them both up a place. So Gwali United into the top half, Cheltenham Town in 7th on 10, and then Lewes in 8th on 10, down a couple of places. Exeter City in 9th on 8 points. AFC Wimbledon in 10th, also on 8. They are a point now above Hashtag United, who are on 7 with a goal difference of -5, so not a bad goal difference really for Hashtag United. And then Billericay Town still 12th, still yet to get a point, and on a -53 goal difference. And I think you look at that big result there, Hashtag United 7, Billericay Town 0. The bottom 2 come head to head and one of them wins 7-0. It just shows the difficulty that Billericay Town, I think, are going to have this season. The question from Hashtag United's point of view is, are they going to be able to bring their season back around, get themselves out of the bottom 2? The league table, Gwali United are 6th on 10 points. Hashtag United are 11th on 7. That bottom half of the table, and even Oxford United are 5th on 11 points. There's 4 points. Bear in mind, we are not that far away. We're past a third of the way through the season now, and there is only 4 points between 5th and 11th. There is a lot still to go for in the Southern Premier Division, and nobody other than perhaps Bournemouth and Watford, who are fighting towards the top. Real Bedford getting in there as well. Plymouth, you could argue, in there. Oxford, are they already too far back? We discussed it with the departure of Sam Rose earlier on in the show. Are they already too far back for a title challenge? How high do you have to be before you start looking over, or before you stop rather looking over your shoulder? Division 1 Midlands then. Worcester City 1, Kidderminster Harriers 0. Sophie Griffiths with the only goal of the game for Worcester City, as they get a valuable 3 points in that one. Before then, we look at the rest of the Division One Midlands results. Let's hear from the Worcester City head coach, Matt Jones. Here he is.
Matt, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
1-0 victory tonight against Kidderminster Harriers. But hard-fought local derby, obviously to be expected at the occasions. But I thought from a management tactical point of view, I think you got pretty much spot on tonight, Matt.
Well, it's nice of you to say so. As I would say to the players, there's lots for them to learn, there's lots for us to learn as staff. So we won't get too ahead of ourselves, but equally we should enjoy these moments, because the National League season is long and hard, and there's no better way of defining that than having 3 games in 8 days. I think it takes 2 to tango, as much as we've come out with a victory, and I'll be biased and say I think we edged it. Kidderminster Harriers deserve a lot of credit, because they certainly played their part in what was a really good spectacle under the Six Ways floodlights. But hopefully our home supporters are going away happy, having seen us press high and be tenacious out of possession, as well as at times manage the game when you're 1-0 up and deny space in behind. But I thought in that second half we managed the game really, really well. Don't get me wrong, they were a threat. We knew the number 9 in particular would cause us some problems, so we had to be really clever about how we defended her as an individual, but without being led too much by what she did, as much as she was able to secure the ball and dictate play higher up. But I was really pleased with how we applied individual tactics in certain moments around the pitch, especially as the clock ticked down and it was only 1-0. But they say that a 1-0 feels better sometimes than a 3 or 4-0, and it certainly does tonight.
You mentioned about the tactics of players are learning all the time, much more mature situation there where you're 1-0 up. A lot of measured performance on the pitch I thought in the second half as well, and at times you slow the game down because you got the advantage as well. But I want to make special praise to Maya Clark. I thought she played really well tonight, and of course you made the changes off from the bench as well. But you got players there, I think, they can sort of like when you have to dictate the pace of the game and slow things down a little bit, Matt, you feel they can do that, can't they?
Yes, we talk about this a lot as a group, so when to move into 5th gear, but then also when to drop down to 3rd.
Yeah.
If you go any slower than 3rd, you're going to invite trouble, especially with the way that Kidderminster Harriers can press with their front line of 3, if you like. They're very clever with how they press, so we knew we had to be smart in how we manage possession, especially when we're retaining and building around the back. But yeah, Mayo was brilliant at holding the ball up for us and allowing us to gain territory. But there's a difference between a long ball and a long pass. Yes. I never want to be associated with long ball football. I'm not suggesting that every long pass comes off. And Mayo was very good at adapting and adjusting, especially when you're dealing with the pressure of a player from your blind spot. But I thought also the players got in and around Mayo to be able to support her for her to set and then spin off, or runners get in behind. Not too dissimilar to how Kidderminster Harriers were playing at times. So there was a real battle there. Both sides came out swinging, as you would hope in any derby, but especially a midweek one.
So the Griffiths get on the score sheet. High pressing work, causing the error, causing the mistake from the kiddie point of view. But you've got to be in those positions to make those errors in the first one, I think, really. So Griffiths doing a lot of high pressing work this evening, Matt.
So pleased for Griff. It feels remiss of me to pick out individual players, because we'll be here all night or until they kick us out of Six Ways, which won't be long. But I'm so pleased for Griff personally, because she, like a lot of players, sometimes they go on a bit of a roller coaster journey, but she has pulled herself up to a high point tonight, and she has focused in on the process rather than thinking of the outcome. Something that we've been working on in her sight corner, I'm sure she won't mind me saying. And I was just really pleased with her, not only getting on the score sheet, but the contribution that she made in possession, but then also out of possession. She was really clear on her role, and that was obvious to me because she executed it really, really well.
Nari Edwards, Kerry Stolloway, you've got 2 players show a lot of maturity on the pitch this evening.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a young squad. To mention a couple of players that we're lucky enough to have on loan. So Bethan, 19, Charlotte Poole, 16, Connie, 16, made her debut tonight, at home that is, in terms of National League debut, but played for the first time away in the FA Cup against Port Vale on Sunday. So that's to mention but a few. But when you think about the average age, we've got a very young squad. So we're asking players who are in their early 20s to be the senior players. That said, we've got fantastic players in and around the group who are taking either time out for understandable reasons, so injury, etc. So we're more than just the players that you see named as the 16. I always talk about squad mentality, but we definitely needed those leaders on the pitch, and I thought Keris, Naya, Kay did an outstanding job, and Bethan probably, again, not for the first time, played ahead of her years in terms of her leadership, and players like Shona Baldwin, who's got 100th appearance upcoming. In fact, if my maths is correct, it's coming up very, very soon. I'm so pleased for these players who have put a lot of years in.
Is that the measure how Tier 4 is going though, Matt? Because go back 3 or 4 seasons previously, you wouldn't expect 16, 17 year olds to be playing high pressure games like this midweek under the lights, but increasingly we're seeing players, if they're young enough, you feel like if they're good enough, just get them on the pitch, give them the experience really. It must be good for the game going for Tier 4, you can sort of look at a lot of young players saying, look, let's give them the opportunities at this sort of level.
Yeah, I mean, you just alluded to it there. If they're good enough, they're old enough, so to speak. One of the things that we always talk about at Worcester City Women is, yes, they've got to be good players, they've got to be competent, they've got to be able to compete at National League level and thrive, but they've also got to be good people. They've got to buy into our values, and that's something that we share with Wolves. So we've got this great partnership where we're able to loan players and give them National League first squad minutes. Nothing's ever guaranteed, because I'm not a coach who creates false expectations. We've got to manage our expectations even at a tender age of 16, 17, 18, because football is school of hard knocks. But I like to think that if we've got an understanding of the person behind the player, we can support them in the best way possible as we navigate them through the early years of their career, shall we say.
On the rise of Matt, back to league duty, Stourbridge away on the 2nd of November. The Cup is on the rise against Leafle Athletic. Tonight's win tonight against your local rivals, more important, 3 points on the board. Does it give you, the players, an opportunity to get a bit of momentum going now and sort of like stake a claim to be pushing on and try and challenge between the top half of the table, a bit more a consistent force to be challenging for the top half of the table in this division, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a favourite saying that without commitment you'll never start, without consistency you'll never finish.
Yeah.
And obviously last season, our first National League season, we knew it was about survival, and it's hard to get consistency when you're hanging on to the coattails of the teams around you, let alone the ones above you, because we've got some real powerhouses in the National League, I don't need to tell you, and we've obviously drawn one in the next round of the FA Cup, so that'll be exciting, taking on Tash, who I've got again a lot of time and respect for, so we'll look forward to travelling there in a month's time and contesting that fixture, because we ran them close here at the back end of August, and again that's a sign of our progress. But yeah, in terms of this week, 3 games in 8 days, we've got Stourbridge to look forward to. We won't rest on our laurels. Tomorrow will be about recovery, because we want to enter into that pitch ready physically, and this is where you need strength and depth in your squad. So momentum's going to be key. We've got 3 wins out of our 6 opening National League games. We're ahead of where we were this time last season. So that for me tells me that we are moving in the right direction, and I couldn't be prouder of not just the squad of players and the coaching staff I get to work with on and around the pitch, but all of the backroom staff. The club owner tonight, Nicole, should be very, very proud, as I know she is, of everyone's efforts, because nights like this are what make all the hard work worthwhile.
Matt Jones there, the Worcester City head coach, speaking to Kevin Moore after their 1-0 win over Kidderminster Harriers this midweek. Now, on the other side of that result, Kidderminster Harriers, of course, their first season in the FAWNL, they have not had a bad start at all, but they are on the wrong side of this 1-0 defeat. After the game, their head coach, Harry O'Neill, he spoke to Kieran Jones.
Harry, what do you make of that game out there today?
Football's cruel. Football's cruel, Kieran. I think it has been the story of our season, unfortunately, where we play really well in elements of games for, I'm going to say, at least 80-90% of that game. You have so much possession of the ball, and a mistake costs us. And look, that's this level, and that's the the naivety sometimes that our group needs to kind of learn and learn quickly. We're creating really good opportunities, not putting them away, and then the game's a whole lot different if we make a mistake and we're 3-0 up already. But that's not the case, and that's cost us points today. But look, it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve that we're going to have to get used to really quickly. And don't get me wrong. Worcester are a great outfit, and I think the occasion tonight's been really good for women's football locally as well. But we're just unfortunately on the wrong side of it, and yet again, I suppose, this season already.
And you mentioned it there, a few mistakes in the performance that you saw today, not just for the goal, but in an all-around performance. How do you go about ironing out those creases that you see in your side currently?
It can be difficult because you can't put it down to something tactically, and you can try and coach systems, shapes, press, formations, and somebody makes a mistake, that they make a mistake, but ultimately that's football. Is human. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what makes football great. Sometimes I think that the swings and roundabouts might occur where eventually you might have something where somebody else makes a mistake on the other team, and you score. And we've certainly benefited from that in the years I've been in the game. So it's just one of those things. You have to kind of progress through it and push through it, and ultimately it's about the character, really. I think if you can put yourself in a situation where you pick the person up who's made a mistake, and the group are good at that, the group are capable of doing that, and it's that culture that we're trying to build as a result of it. And I've got full faith, no matter who makes a mistake, that the ability's always there. We're still technically, after today, before results come in, 5th in the table, and I think regardless of mistakes, and we haven't been firing on full cylinders since the start of the season, really, but we're playing well and losing in certain situations, but we're still 5th in the table, and I think we have to take credit from that, and take credit in our maiden season in the National League, that regardless of mistakes and drop points here and there, we've done really well, and we've got to take confidence from that, and the group has to take confidence from that going forward.
On the weekend, I saw your side pick up a great win against Redditch Borough in the FA Cup. Obviously different level of opposition, but ultimately that was a win. Tonight it wasn't. How do you compare the two performances?
putting chances away for one. But but even in then, to be fair, Keir, I think we had loads of chances in that game, and the game finished 1-0. And like I said, we're not firing on full cylinders. I think we're creating 7-8 chances a half, good chances, maybe converting one a game at the moment. And today we didn't convert any. So it's that situation we're going to have to iron out pretty quickly, and kind of just being a bit more clinical in front of goal. And that's not the forward line. That's not just the forward line. That's anybody. That's maybe even just pulling the trigger a little bit earlier, and maybe even midfield, or presenting himself an opportunity and be a bit selfish sometimes and be brave, pull the trigger and score. And I think when we have those moments where we don't necessarily think about it, or maybe we act on instinct, I think we put the ball in the back of the net. And I think that's what's won us games recently. Today wasn't the case, and ultimately, like you say, that's the difference between winning and losing the game.
Over recent weeks, we've seen a few changes to the Kiddie Harriers squad, a few girls coming in, a few girls going out. Do you think that that's a necessity for you right now, switching up how you play and how the style is, and what have you made of the new girls coming in so far?
I think it's finally starting to settle. I think you're right. We've had a crazy transition of a period, really, where from not just from the summer, really, from summer right up until probably about 2-3 weeks ago, where we're still ins and outs, but consistency is key, and we're trying to find that as much as we can, really. And like I say, considering we've changed all sorts, and the new faces that are coming up have got it pretty quickly, actually. There's a lot of new faces in there, some younger faces. You've got to think about Amber, for example, who's in goal, 17, not even 18 yet as well. So they're young people, Key. And I think, but actually, considering it's their maiden year, they're still doing really well, and they're having to gel quickly as a result. We're not in trouble. We haven't been in trouble, but this league can very quickly cause that if we don't experience and pick up these learning curves quickly. So they're doing well to adapt, and I think like I say, once we gel, and I think give it till Christmas. Really, we've got to keep riding this wave of trying to pick up results here and there, and get to Christmas and really build a bit of consistency then for the second half of the season.
And tonight being a midweeker means that you only have a short turnaround to the tough league game that you face on Sunday against Leafield. How do you go around raising morale and switching up to go into that one?
I think the girls need a bit of a break with it as well. I think football can be so full on, and people finishing work early today, or people travelling from here, there and everywhere to try and get to a game, try and get they don't just get here for kick-off, you know what I mean? You're here for warm-ups, you're here for the bits at the beginning. So it's a long old jaunt sometimes, football, when you're playing a 3-game week, and it's why we love it. You come to play these games to enjoy football, and because that's what you love doing. So it's part of that process, and obviously in terms of prepping for Sunday, this is a very quick turnaround. I think we've got to be tactically on it to kind of get the game plans right and the messages that we want to get. But ultimately, the girls need a rest as well. They need to take the pain, I suppose, take it on the chin from tonight, and it's a massive opportunity to bounce back up against one of the best teams in the league. And the crazy fact is, we win tonight, and apart from games in hand, we actually go level on points for them. And I think that's a leveller that we need to take. And you're 3 points behind the team here, potentially 6 points after a couple of days, but you're really close. You're there or thereabouts. And even though these teams are brilliant on paper, you've seen tonight, anything can happen in football, mate.
And looking forward even more to the FA Cup fixture, FAWNL in that. What do you make of that draw, and how do you reckon you'll go about preparing for that one?
Yeah, the group chat was going a bit mad on the draw. We're excited, actually. We wanted something different. We've had Redditch Boroughs, and obviously a bit of history there in terms of the staff or personnel and that sort of thing. And then we played Shrewsbury. That's a team that we faced many a time already. So FAWNL's something different, and very, very rare. Very little of us, in that group have faced FAWNL before. But it's a very different FAWNL to when they were in Tier 3 from a couple of years ago. They're doing very well in the league. We can't take that lightly. And you've got the 3 to 4 hour jaunt all the way up to just outside of Blackpool as well. But it's exactly what we wanted. We wanted an away draw, actually, with somebody that's somebody brand new for us, and be a fresh challenge. It's it's good to take an opportunity away from the league. And listen, the FA Cup's amazing. If we can get to the point where we're travelling up there, and the whole experience of being up there and being as part of a group, it only benefits these guys, regardless of the result. But when we're up there, it's business time, and we'll try and get the job done and get into the third round.
Yes, big thank you to Matt and Harry for taking the time to speak to us after their midweek games. We all know after the midweek games, all you want to do, get home and get yourself off to bed. So big thank you for both of them for taking the time to speak to us. Elsewhere in Division One Midlands, Barnsley Women's 3, Sheffield 1. Good win for Barnsley Women's. Lauren Winter with the only goal for Sheffield in the 37th minute. Bournemouth St Michael's beat Sutton Coldfield Town by 2-1. Abby Jackson with the only goal for Sutton Coldfield Town, but they just end up on the wrong side of that result. Leaford Athletic beating Stourbridge by 4-1. Lincoln United losing to Notts County by 5-0 as well. But the big game of the week between Northampton Town and Peterborough United. Now, it's really interesting how the difference between these two sides. Remember, last season this was like a huge top of the table clash, really important for who ended up getting promoted into the Northern Premier Division. Of course, it was Loughborough Lightning in the end, but how different things are for these two sides now. Northampton Town struggling in Division One Midlands. Peterborough United going so well in this division, really hoping that this is their year to end up in Tier 3. A 7-3 victory for Peterborough United. A hat-trick for Niamh Reynolds, 2 for Jessica Stanford, and 1 each for Keir Perkins and Niamh Connor. Just everything in the league seems to be going right for Peterborough United at the moment. So a big win for them. Some big scorelines in Division 1 Midlands, but Bournemouth St Michael's only just beating Sutton Coldfield Town by 2-1. Another game which we covered here on Switch Sport this week. We spoke with the Sutton Coldfield Town head coach Harry Roe after the game. Here he is with Kevin Moore.
Harry, not to beat tonight, 2-1 loss against Bournemouth St Michael's. A very battling performance, I thought, and we know these derbies are always close affairs anyway. A lot to take from this game, despite the loss, I think, actually, Harry, but you're playing a team who've been on a good run of form themselves. Despite the loss this evening, Harry, you can still take a lot of tonight's performance. You've given a team like Bournemouth a good run for their money this evening.
Yeah, look, I think we're frustrated. I think we didn't deserve to lose the game. I feel like they might disagree, but I feel like a draw was a fair result. We matched them for 90 minutes. We matched them, and 2 individual mistakes have really cost us that game. We haven't conceded many chances today. We haven't conceded many clear-cut opportunities or many moments in the game where you're doing well, sort of been let off. Niamh Jones has had to make one really, really good save, but apart from that, it's been pop shots. It's been saves that are comfortable for Niamh, and vice versa with them. We didn't necessarily test their goalkeeper either. Daisy had quite a comfortable day at the office as well, but I think a 1-1 maybe or a draw at least would have been a positive result, and it does feel like his points dropped. The performance though, however, like you mentioned, is something to be pleased with. After such a disappointing weekend result, it's really important that we came back with a good performance, and we asked a lot of the girls. We changed shape and only had 1 training session to work on that. We changed, and not just like changing a small shape, we changed quite drastically to match them, and they listened really, really well. They got that spot on, and like I said, we restricted them to really nothing. We've conceded from an in-possession mistake, and then we've conceded from a set piece. You're looking at that going, well out of possessioners during the open play, you were fine, you were comfortable. So it's really frustrating, but like you said, there is definitely positives to take. We certainly took the game to them. We certainly matched them for large periods, and a team who are 5 from 5 know how to win games, and I think it showed today with just the last sort of 5-10 minutes that they knew how to win the game. They did the right things. They slowed it down, they frustrated us, they forced us to go direct, and good teams will do that. It's on us to then calm it down, it's on us to speed it up, it's on us to play the game the opposite way and stay calm in those moments. But look, it's a learning curve. We were good value, we did well, but it's frustrating not to take at least a point home, if not more.
Very close affair towards the end of the game as well. I mean, the fact that Olivia Mitchum is coming back and doing a lot of defensive work the last 10 minutes, it speaks volumes about the pressure. He did put a lot of pressure the last 10 minutes or so. We talk about Chloe Down missing that opportunity though. I hope that doesn't affect her confidence the rest of the season though, Harry, because I know what a great talent she is for you and your squad as well, but if that opportunity goes in, it could have been a totally different first half, couldn't it, to say the least?
Yeah, no, of course. Like, if that chance goes in, we're 2-0, and you'd argue we're probably quite comfortable. But look, Chloe's young, she'll learn from it. She's not one that sort of rues missed opportunities. She came in and we wanted to give her an opportunity, and she took that really, really well. I thought she was fantastic. Even though she has missed an opportunity, and maybe on a different day you score that and it's 2-0, I still think she was fantastic. The work rate she puts in off the ball, the way she back presses really, really well, the way she just drifts into areas that are uncomfortable to defenders is quality. It's now just about, with Chloe, getting that in possession right. It's about just getting those moments right, the chaos moments as we call them, where it's there's lots going on, and it's finding those, trying to calm yourself down and trying to find your calmness to then go and take those chances. but Chloe will be fine. You know, she works really, really hard, she listens really, really well, and always wants to get better, and that's all we can ask for.
Abby Jackson scored from the header as well. Good set piece actually, because set piece seems to be like a key thing you want to try and implement this evening as well, Harry. But a lot of balls in towards the penalty area as well. Good to see that you made the gamble and put Abby Jackson up front to the last 10 minutes of the second half as well. Yeah. Is that a nice option to have though? If you think Abby you can throw, because the height obviously does help, have a big factor in it as well. But I think it's fair to say the Bournemouth back line could not deal with her in the air at all on many occasions during the 90 minutes this evening, Harry.
Yeah, no, look, you know what you get with Jacko, she's a physically strong person, you know, she's tall, she's strong, she uses her body really, really well, and like you mentioned, it's a great option, you know, when you're chasing games or when you're tight in games and you want to do a little bit more direct, she gives you that, and when you've got her and Rhea up there, it's a real handful, you know, defenders don't like to defend 1v1, and if you can get Jacko and you can get Rhea pinning them, makes it really difficult, and like you mentioned, it didn't necessarily work out today, but it's always good to have that option. I'm a believer that in those sorts of games it's better to gamble than to take a 2-1. No one wants to settle on a 2-1, no one wants to defend a loss as such, so yeah. I always think if you've got the opportunity to go for those moments and go for those times in games, you know, we go and do it. Donny Bells, it worked really, really well, and we got the 3-3 and then 4-3, and then today it doesn't quite work out and we lose the game 2-1, but if you don't take those risks you then don't get the rewards, so one week it works, one week it doesn't, and we just need to find that balance. But no, it does really help, you know, Jacko's comfortable on the ball, so it means that when you do throw her up there, she's not one that's going to be rash or poor with her decision making, you know, she likes the ball anyway, so yeah, it certainly does help. It gives us another option, and it means that we can be a little bit more direct when we need to.
Yeah, certainly good options to have if you need to like do a plan B or a plan C in some situations as well. But new players I ain't seen much recently, Harry. Amber Taylor, a lot of pace on her.
Yeah, Amber's a new one. She's relocated to the area, which is why probably not a lot of people know much about her. Physically good, you know, yeah. She's strong,
very strong. Yeah,
she's quick. She will work really, really hard, and she knows what she's good at. You know, and it's rare to find someone that is just willing to work hard, willing to just run for large periods, and she'll be a real threat, you know, whether it's starting and giving us what she's got for as long as she can, or whether it's off the bench, you know, that pace will be threatening, the directness will be threatening, and we probably didn't see enough of her on the ball today because of the nature of the game, but you know, she'll come good, you know, she's a threat that's difficult to deal with, you know, she's, for fullbacks to have someone so twicked but also so strong is rare. Normally it's one of the two, so if you've got that good balance it makes it really difficult. So yeah, looking forward to getting more of her on the pitch and seeing what she can offer.
It's really encouraging that you're still bringing new players. Every time I catch up with you, Harry, there's always this one new signing or new addition to the squad. That's good, that's positive, that's good to hear though. So good to see that players like Amber Taylor have got an opportunity to like carve their own future at the club here and get lots of game time this season. On the rise though, Barnsley women, your next home fixture in the league on the 2nd of November. County Cup duties on the rise against Birmingham City as well, but also you've got Lincoln United away, so the next 2 or 3 weeks is going to be quite an interesting time for the club really, isn't it, as well. But again, go back to the question I said at the start of this conversation, not to be tonight, but you must really be able to sort of go to your players and say, look, we went toe-to-toe for large parts of the game tonight against a team who've got ambitions to get out of this league. If you're going to apply any of that sort of commitment tonight, that's going to see you get a lot of positive results this season, Harry.
Yeah, no, of course. Look, I've said to those before, we can match anyone in this league. Yeah. You know, it's no secret. We've done it before. Like I said, we've matched them twice now. We've played them in the cup and came close. We played them again today and came even closer. So the positive signs are there. You know, every week, you know, we look more together. Every week we show more signs of improvements. Every week we look to push, and there's been a big turnaround, you know, in the summer. So it was always going to take a while to get in, and I think you can start to now see the jigsaw coming together. Obviously, it doesn't happen overnight. We all know this, and it's maybe taking a little bit more time than we would have liked, but our quality is there. I don't think Bournemouth will come away from that game saying they dominated us for 90 minutes. I don't think they will. They'll know they were in for a game. They'll know it was a competitive game. It was a derby played in the right way, where it was competitive and there was, you know, moments of madness, but it was controlled. It wasn't a nasty game, which is really, really important. And credit to them for playing it in the right way. You know, it's very easy in these sorts of derbies to take it over the edge, but I don't really think for any moment in the game it sort of boiled over that. It was right on the edge, which was really enjoyable to be a part of and enjoyable to obviously watch as well. But yeah, like you've said, it's important that we believe that we can match anyone, because our performance shows it, and we're disappointed not to take at least a point from today. And if that performance keeps going and we keep matching teams at the top of the league and we keep putting these performances together, you know, we'll do okay. Big games to win up. Barnsley, quick turnaround. We've then got Blues in the cup, which is a chance for a few fringe players to get a mention and get a run out. And then Lincoln's obviously a big game away at their place. You know, it's difficult to play on their surface, so that'll be an interesting one as well. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Always good to hear from Harry Roe. And again, thank you to him for taking the time out to speak to us on Switch Sport this week. Let's have a look at the Division One Midlands table then. So not much change at the top, if anything. Peterborough United still first. Barnsley Women still second. Bournemouth St Michael's still third. Leaford Athletic still fourth. 18 points, 18 points, 18 points, 15 points. Peterborough United and Bournemouth St Michael's both have perfect 100% records. Barnsley Women's have 18 from their 7 games, but you can't count them out. They've got a very nice healthy goal difference as well. Leafield Athletic 15 points from their 6 games. You feel it's a mini league between those 4 as to who is going to end up going up automatically and who's going to face the second side in Division 1 North in that playoff. And if I was the Division 1 North sides at the moment, I mean, they've got a very strong top of the table as well. There could be some terrific games in those playoffs. Cannot wait for that. But let's not wish the season away. Notts County and Worcester City, 5th and 6th. They're both up a couple of places. They're on 9 points as well as Kidderminster Harriers, who are on 9 but dropped 2 places to 7th. But that's a very close mid-table again. There is already that 6-point gap and games in hand between the top 4 and the teams in 5th, so that's why I do believe it is already a little mini league there. Sheffield down 2 places to 8th, they're on 7 points. Sutton Coldfield Town 9th on 6, Northampton Town 10th on 5, Stourbridge 11th on 3, Lincoln United 12th on 1. Of course, Lincoln United losing to Notts County. Stourbridge, they were defeated by Leafield Athletic. Northampton Town lost to Peterborough. Sutton Coldfield Town lost to Bournemouth St Michael. So the bottom 4 all losing, the top 4 all winning. That's why it stays very much the same. So a very cramped top of the Division 1 Midlands table. We have just got time to hear from the Leaford Athletic head coach Tash Tezgel. Here she is with John Foster. And then after that, you're going to hear from Evangeline Gallop speaking to Kieran Jones.
What are your overall thoughts on the game?
I think it was a dominant performance in the second half for sure. I think we created really good moments in the first half. I think for me today, Ellie May was fantastic and she's pulled off some great saves in the first half. A couple of chances I think for Stourbridge. I felt like they came out firing in all cylinders and they looked really sharp. And I think for us it was we grew into the game. I spoke to the girls at half time and potentially was slightly harsh, but I think what they needed was some structure and we gave them that after. And I think they really took it on board, and I think second half we really dominated the game.
Yeah, it seemed to appear that way, but what I've noticed in the first half was the amount of shots that you were getting and on target as well. Is that something that you actually work on in training?
Yeah, we obviously, without giving too much away, we obviously work on specific units. So obviously we train twice a week, and obviously some of those, you know, on one of those days we'll really work heavily on a particular unit, and they'll be with a particular coach. We're quite lucky that we've got X amount of coaches and we can all work with different units. Listen, the strikers or the finishers, whatever you want to call them, the attackers, there is moments where they probably should score goals, and then there's moments where they score goals and you think, God, how have you managed that one? So it's just consistency now with us. We've got a lot of players that score goals across the pitch, which is super important for us. You don't want to heavily rely on one particular player, but yeah, we've got excellent firepower, and it's something that they work on weekly, and at times they'll stay behind after training to do shooting drills and practicing, and that for me is the mentality that we want here.
You can definitely see how confident they were in taking shots. You see some players in some games that don't like to take shots right away, but you can see that your players do like to get forward and take those shots. Word on your opponents then, Stourbridge, obviously a young team with a young manager. You mentioned earlier them improving. What are your thoughts on Stourbridge today? Yeah,
I think, listen, they've got some good individual players. I think they set up really well. I think once we figured that out, second half, obviously I believe that we dominated. But listen, I said to Meg at the end of the game, it's a much improved side from the 4-0 loss that they had here sort of a couple of months ago. And Luke, like, you can see that things are starting to come to fruition for Stourbridge. But listen, they've just got to keep going. I think that, listen, this league's unforgiving. Any team can beat any team, and I truly believe that. There's no team that you go in and play and think, absolutely, you know what, we're going to win this game. It doesn't happen at this level anymore. So yeah, listen, credit to Starbuck, credit to the coaching staff. I think they've definitely improved, and I think it's going to be it's a long season, and you can't call anything at the minute.
And back to yourself, a couple of big games to come, one in the league and then one in the FA Cup. So starting on this weekend, Kidderminster Harriers. Any thoughts in mind whilst you're playing in this game, or were you just focused on Stourbridge at the moment, and then obviously now your attention turns to Kidderminster Harriers?
Yeah, you have to keep one eye on the game on Sunday. You have to manage minutes, but ultimately it's the here and now that really matters. We have to make sure we get the job done today, which we did, luckily. And I think for me now, attention turns to Kiddie. Players will go away now and have a break for 2 days. Myself and the coaching staff will go to work and do a bit of analysis on Kiddie. And I think for me, it's another tough fixture. Away from home, I know Agra's a difficult place to play. I know that they'll have them well drilled, they'll be physical. And listen, it's again one of those games where you never walk into a game thinking this is 3 points. Every game is important, and Sunday will be just as important as today, and we will continue to try and work out a way to win games of football.
And another win in the league as well. What do you think about your league position now?
Happy with the league position. I think we are definitely improving week on week. I'm unsure of the other results today. We try and focus on ourselves. Listen, we can control the controllables, and for me the most important thing is that we're picking up 3 points. We don't need to focus on anyone else. Happy with where we're at and where we were before. Find out the results soon, no doubt. But yeah, there's no point in looking elsewhere, because if we can't get the job done ourselves, it makes no odds anyway if someone's won or lost. The good thing about this league this year is obviously there's 2 places, so it makes things more interesting, and it gives you more hope. Loughborough last year ran away with it. I think they were unbeaten. They were great. This year, I think might be different. There's probably 4 or 5 with the hat in the ring. You know, whoever finishes top of the league, they'll do very well to do so. It's like I say, it's a tough league, and obviously that second position will be eagerly anticipated for one particular club.
And finally, the FA Cup draw has been made. Great to see that actually being aired as well now. Just your thoughts on that being a visual as well, and the actual upcoming game, I believe, on November the 23rd.
Tough fixture, to be honest. I'm happy that it's at home. We feel at home here, so that's nice. Worcester's a tough place to go, and to be honest, we've done our trip there and won 1-0, and it's not a place that I want to go back to anytime soon. They have a great crowd, and they're very well drilled by the coaching staff. Got a good, young, exciting squad, and a squad that's drastically improved from last year. Listen, Worcester are an excellent outfit, and we are under no illusions at all that it's going to be a tough ask. If you'd have told me we got Worcester before the draw, would I have been happy? Probably not, because it's tough. But listen, I believe in the squad, and we believe in ourselves, and hopefully we move forward into the next round of the cup. But we'll have to do everything we can, and we'll have to be on top form that day. The fact that it's live now is excellent. It's really exciting. I don't really concentrate for the whole day because I'm thinking, oh God, who are we going to get? I'm just happy that we're at home, and I'm happy. To be honest, I'm happy that it's local, and we might get a decent crowd.
Evie, how did you find that one tonight?
Yeah, it was a good game to play, and I think it's always challenging, kind of after work, playing a game under the lights. But I think we really grew into the game and gave a good performance.
You mentioned it there, growing into the game. It seems Lee Field's performance in the first half was very different to the one we saw in the second half. How would you sum up the 2 45s tonight?
I think as players we were kind of confident in both halves. I think we were playing the ball well, but the first half we just quite couldn't handle that kind of final clinical ball shot, whatever it was. We had a good few chances, but just wasn't falling our way. So I think we knew that we needed to step it up a little bit into the second half, and I think we did that confidently all over the pitch, playing the ball better, and then 2 more opportunities come which we could kill the game with.
And you obviously picked up yourself a goal tonight. Can you talk us through that one?
Yeah, it's something we tried in training actually, just on Tuesday. Again with the game under the lights, it's very difficult to see the ball from the corner. So I just thought I'd try something different, kind of run in, get the ball on the floor instead, and yeah, it paid off. So.
And it's another one to your tally. You've been on fine for scoring form throughout the recent weeks. What have you made to your sort of start at Lee Field this season?
Yeah, I think I had a fairly good season last season, and I just really wanted to kind of continue that this season. And yeah, personally I'm really happy with kind of my individual performance, but that comes mostly from the team. I think we've just gelled really well. They're passing me the ball and I'm doing the rest.
And a big congratulations, obviously player of the round for the FA Cup last weekend. What did you make of that one and that game as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I personally really love the FA Cup. It's such a great competition to be a part of. Obviously, everyone has the dream of the road to Wembley, and ours continues into the next round, which is really great. Yeah, and I mean, I hadn't really heard of the player of the round before, so to even be nominated, I was really happy, and then just to thank everyone for the votes.
And obviously, this game being played on a Thursday, it's a quick turnaround now to Sunday. How do you sort of dust off and go again for that one?
I think the recovery is really important, so we've got people there helping us with what we should be doing. Me personally, just take that extra time to kind of stretch, focus. It's another big game on Sunday, so we take this win hopefully with a bit of confidence, and we're really ready to face Kiddie.
Division 1 North then, just 5 games to go through here. Leeds United beating Doncaster Rovers Bells by 4-0. Drew Green, Sian Gibril Keating, Ellie White and Emily Cassidy with the goals for Leeds United. Stockport County losing 3-0 to Huddersfield Town. Hannah Burgess, Rima Lord-Mears and Louise Biggins with the goals for Huddersfield. But the big clash at the top, Wythenshawe 2, Cheadletown Stingers 1. Wythenshawe, their first season in the FAWNL, and they continue to impress. An 87th minute winner from Chelsea Flanagan got them past Cheadletown Stingers. Cheadle had taken the lead for Anya McCready in the 22nd minute, but Ciara Boylan in the 27th equalised for Wythenshawe before that very late winner for them. Chester Street Town drew with Durham Sestra by 2-2. Casey Elson and Katie Ellison with the goals for Chester Street Town. Grace Collinson and Grace McKee with the goals for Durham Sestra. Dramatic end to this game as well. Durham Sestra must have thought they'd won it going 2-1 up in the 89th minute, only for Ellison to equalise for Chester Street Town just 1 minute later. And Chorley beating Blackburn Rovers by 6-2. What that means for the Division 1 North table, top 3 all the same. Cheadletown Stingers, they've lost their 100% record, but they are back. Well, they are, still at the top of the table, but only by 2 points now over Wythenshawe, who are on 16 in second. Huddersfield Town third on 15. Leeds United upper place to 4th on 14. Chorley upper place on 14 to 5th. Stockport County down 2 places to 6th on 12 points. So close in the top half of Division 1 North. Who knows who's going to end up at the top and who's going to end up in the playoff place. But that is a really fascinating and cannot wait prospect for that Midlands and North playoff, because I think that's going to be a fabulous game of football. Chester Street Town remain in 7th on 7 points. Norton Stockton Ancient swap places with Doncaster Rovers Bells. They're both on 6. But Norton, who don't play a midweek fixture until next week, have a game in hand as well. And therefore they have the better goal difference, because Doncaster Rovers Bells were on -7, lost 4-0. So that's why they dropped the place. Durham Sestra, they got that point with Chester Street Town, and their better goal difference than York City means that they climb out of the bottom 2. Both teams are on 4, but Durham Sestra have the better goal difference, and Blackburn Rovers remain at the foot of the table. Division 1 South East then, AFC Sudbury losing to Norwich City by 5-2. Many late goals for Norwich City here. They scored 3 goals in the final in about 5 minutes to really skew that scoreline. But Amy Lee Abrahart and Jessica Allen with the goals for AFC Sudbury in the first half. Holly Kennard, 2 for Grace Rigler, 1 for Natasha Snelling, 1 for Olivia Cook for Norwich City. Chatham Town beat Dulwich Hamlet by 6-0. 2 for Ellie Jeffkins, 1 for Ellie Perkins, Lottie Sharp and Carisha Eiton with the goals for Chatham Town. MK Dons got a 2-2 draw with Cambridge United. Kimberly Farrow, Molly Sutherland with the goals for Cambridge United. Queen's Park Rangers 1, Fulham 1. Rebecca Stormer with the only goal of the game for Fulham in the 32nd minute. Cheshire United losing to London Bees by 4-1. Losing to Luton Town by 4-1. And London Bees losing to Actonians by 2-1. Division 1 South East table then. So Fulham back to the top. They are 1 point ahead of Norwich City, who dropped down into second. Then there is this chasing pack. London Bees in third, Chatham Town in fourth, Queen's Park Rangers in fifth, Cambridge United in sixth. They are all on 13 points. Chatham Town up 2 places though. Queen's Park Rangers and Cambridge United both drop a place, but they are one of 4 teams all chasing that top 2. Actonians remain in 7th. They are on 9 points from their 7 games. Luton Town are upper place in 8th over Dulwich Hamlet, who dropped down to 9th. Luton Town on 9 points, Dulwich Hamlet on 6. Milton Keynes Dons on 4. And AFC Sudbury in 11th on 1 point, off the bottom on goal difference. Chesham United at the foot of the table. They have 1 point, but a minus 17 goal difference in comparison to AFC Sudbury's minus 15. Sudbury, of course, have a game in hand as well. If they win that game in hand, then they climb out of the bottom 2 at the expense of MK Dons as things stand. Division 1 South West, Swindon Town keep marching on. They beat Bristol Rovers in that big clash at the top by 2-1. Lacey J. Liggett in the 7th minute, Taylor McDonald in the 75th minute with the goals for Swindon Town. Worthing 3, Ascot United 3. A thriller between these two. Sky Bacon, Grace Jarrett and Amber Hazelwood the goals for Worthing. Mia Delaney, Poppy Dearlove and May Goulden. A 90 plus 9th minute equaliser for Ascot United in that game. Bournemouth Sports Moneyfield was postponed. It's been moved to next week. We'll go through the fixtures before 6 o'clock this evening. Maidenhead United 1, Abingdon United 1. Isabella Stockton in the 7th minute, Molly Ligo Jackson in the 13th, equalising for Abingdon United. So all the scoring done very early in that one. Bridgewater United 4, Marine Academy Plymouth 3, 7-goal thriller won by Bridgewater United after they scored a 95th minute penalty to give them the 4-3 victory. Sounds remarkable. What's even more remarkable, they were winning 3-2 until the 90th minute when Marine Academy Plymouth converted from the spot. Then 4 minutes later, Bridgewater United get one and they take all 3 points. And Keynsham United 2, Portishead Town 2, Elizabeth Fogarty and Abigail Todd with the goals for Keynsham Town. What it means for the Southwest table, there's not a huge amount of movement, but Swindon Town remain perfect at the top. 7 games played, 21 points. Moneyfields are up to 2nd on goals scored over Bristol Rovers, who are 3rd. Both of those sides are on 16. Moneyfields have a game in hand that's against Bournemouth Sports, who are down in 8th. Moneyfields, if they win that, will go to within 2 points of Swindon Town. Bridgewater United are 4th on 14 points. Then there's a big drop to Ascot United in 5th on 8. Abingdon United in 6th, also on 8. Marine Academy, Plymouth, Bournemouth Sports both drop places, but they're both on 7 points. Maidenhead United 9th on 6. Keynsham Town 10th on 6. Worthing 11th on 4. Portishead Town 12th. But they do now have, after that draw with Keynsham Town, their first point of the season. So it already looks again like those teams at the top are going to kind of run away with the league, and it's going to be a little mini league between themselves. Ascot United, they're in 5th, but they're already 13 points away from the top of the table. 13 points is going to be too much, but Ascot United are having a great showing in their first season in the FAWNL. And we have got through the results from the last 7 days in the FAWNL. We've just got enough time to go through all of the fixtures coming up that you can look forward to, including some very, very nice ones tomorrow. And so it's a pretty much full programme in the... In fact, actually, I think it is a full programme in the FAWNL tomorrow. Northern Premier Division then, let's start there. Halifax down in 10th against Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are in 2nd. Hull City are 5th. They take on Rugby Borough, who are 3rd, and have the opportunity, well, I would say have the opportunity to overtake them. However, they would need to win by about 10 goals. So let's just say pool level with Rugby Borough in 3rd. Liverpool Feds against Derby County. An interesting one down towards the bottom there. Liverpool Feds in 8th, Derby County in 9th. Both teams desperate to pull themselves away from the relegation zone, particularly with Sporting Cowser hosting Loughborough Lightning. The bottom 2 coming up against each other in the Northern Premier Division. Stoke City against Burnley is 6th against 1st. Can Stoke do something about Burnley? Can they peg them back at all. Wolves will be hoping so. Wolves, of course, second, but they do have that game in hand against West Bromwich Albion that is yet to be put into the calendar. West Brom themselves are in 7th, and they take on Middlesbrough, who are 4th. In the Southern Premier Division, AFC, it's the battle of the AFCs as Wimbledon host Bournemouth. Wimbledon down in 10th, Bournemouth top of the table. Billericay Town in 12th against Exeter City, who are 9th. Exeter City will be looking at this game and going, here's a good chance for 3 points against a struggling Billericay Town side. Here's an opportunity for us to get ourselves away a bit from the relegation zone, particularly, and no, of course, disrespect to the other teams, but with AFC Wimbledon, who are 10th, hosting top of the table Bournemouth, with Hashtag United, who are 11th, travelling to 3rd place Real Bedford. The sides in and around Exeter City have very tough games this weekend. Cheltenham Town against Lewes, 7th against 8th. Of course, they can't both win. Oxford United 5th against Watford 2nd. Plymouth Argyle against Gwalior United is 4th against 6th. And obviously that Real Bedford Hashtag United game I've just spoken about. So if you're Exeter City here, you're looking at it going, if we can beat Billericay Town, you've got Hashtag United, who have got a very tough away game. You've got AFC Wimbledon, who have got a very tough home game. You've got the two teams directly above us playing each other, and they can't both win. If we can get 3 points and get to 11, there is a good opportunity to pull ourselves 4 points away from the drop, but significantly and mentally up 2, maybe 3 places, get ourselves firmly kind of 6th, 7th, and then there's quite a few teams between us and the drop. So could be a very important weekend for Exeter City. In Division 1 Midlands, Kidderminster Harriers against Leafield Athletic, 7th against 4th. Notts County against Northampton Town, 5th against 10th. Peterborough United, Boldmere St Michael's. A 100% record goes tomorrow as Peterborough, with 6 wins from 6, host Boldmere St Michael's with 6 wins from 6. Sheffield take on Lincoln United, 8th against 12th. Stourbridge against Worcester City, 11th against 6th. Sutton Coldfield Town against Barnsley Women's is 9th against 2nd. Into Division 1 North. This is where we have 7 games to discuss in the next week. Blackburn Rovers against Norton Stockton Ancients is 12th against 8th. Cheadle Town Stingers take on Chorley for Thirst against 5th. Doncaster Rovers Bells against Wythenshawe, 9th against 2nd. Durham Sestra against Leeds, 10th against 4th. Huddersfield Town against Chester Street Town, 3rd against 7th. And York City against Stockport County, 11th against 6th. Then on next Thursday, Norton Stockton Ancients against York City, 8th against 11th in Division 1 North. 8th against 11th, I should point out, at the moment, could not be 8th against 11th by the time that we get to that game. It could be, York City, a win for them against Stockport County, they go on to 7 points. They could be up to 8th. Norton Stockton Ancients could then be 7th. It all varies, and it could be a very different looking game come Thursday night. Division 1 South East then, Actonians against Queen's Park Rangers, 7th against 5th. Kind of a mid-table game, that one. Cambridge United against Chatham Town is 6th against 4th, and those are two teams who are both on 13 points. They're in that chasing pack, trying to get towards the top 2. Dulwich Hamlet against Milton Keynes Dons, 9th against 10th. Both of those sides, they can't climb any places. Well, Milton Keynes Dons can if they get the win, but Dulwich Hamlet unlikely to climb places, you would think, this weekend because of the goal difference between them and Luton Town and Actonians. And they just want to put as many points between themselves and the bottom 2 as they can. Fulham at the top of the table coming up against AFC Sudbury, who are in 11th. They are only above the bottom on goal difference. A win for AFC Sudbury, though, could be enough to climb them out of the bottom 2. Luton Town in 8th against London Bees in 3rd. London Bees lead that pack of sides trying to chase down the top 2. And Norwich City in 2nd against bottom of the table Chesham United. Finally, Division 1 South West, we're very, very nearly there. Abingdon United against Bridgewater United is 6th against 4th. Ascot United take on Bournemouth Sports, 5th against 8th. Marine Academy Plymouth in 7th against Bristol Rovers, who are in 3rd. Moneyfields against Keynsham Town, 2nd against 10th. Portishead Town against Maidenhead United. Portishead, does that point that they got midweek start to boost their season? Maidenhead United are in 9th. Swindon Town are 1st. They take on Worthing, who are 11th. And then on Wednesday night, Bournemouth Sports against Moneyfields, the one that got pushed back from last week. And that then will about do it for this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat. We've just about got through everything. So full programme in the FAWNL tomorrow. Switch Sport will be there for that big clash as a 100% record goes. Peterborough United against Boldmere St Michael's. Kevin Moore will be there with that one for you on Switch Sport as a 100% record, as I said, goes tomorrow afternoon. There's lots, of course, to digest over the course of the next week. The Women's Football Chat will be back next week to bring you absolutely everything. And we look ahead next week to the second round of the Cup and Plate. There's only a few league games in because most sides are playing in the second round of the Cup or Plate. Or if they're not playing in that, then their opponent is. So everything's kind of been shut down. There's only a few games really taking place. But that will about do it for this week's episode of the Women's Football Chat. Make sure you tune in from 1:55 tomorrow as Kevin Moore brings you that Peterborough United against Boldmere St Michael's clash. The Alternative 80 show with Andrew Richards is with you after the news at 6.